So we start with page 40, protected areas today. First is wildlife sanctuary. A wildlife sanctuary is an area where animal habitats and their surroundings are protected from any sort of disturbance. Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 gives state government the power to declare certain areas as wildlife sanctuaries. There are more than 500, approximately 543 wildlife sanctuaries in India. What is a national park? Now, a national park is a park in use for conservation purposes. It is more protected vis-a-vis the protection in wildlife sanctuaries. The Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 gives the state government power to declare certain areas as national parks. There are more than 100, approximately 104 national parks in India. Next is a community reserve or conservation reserves. It's written like this, but they are different. Community reserve is different, conservation reserve is different. Firstly, community reserve, but both were added. So it's a category of protected areas which was introduced in the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act of 2002. It is an inhabited area which typically acts as a buffer zone to or connectors and migration corridors between established national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and reserved or protected forests of India. Parts of the land in this area are privately owned and such areas are now this is a community reserve. Okay, a community reserve is an inhabited area which is actually both are similar, but if it is, last line is important here, parts of the land in this area are privately owned. Okay, now such are designated as conservation reserves if they are uninhabited and completely owned by the government of India but used for subsistence by the communities. Okay, so if it's completely owned by the government of India but used for by the communities for subsistence. Subsistence is not commercial purpose, just their own survival. Okay, the state governments, after consulting, now who designates it as a community reserve or a conservation reserve? The state government, but after consulting with the central government and the local communities, it declares any area as a community or a conservation reserve. Currently there are 127 community reserves and in India, and maximum kahan par hai? In the state of Meghalaya. So in this, just remember, community reserve, conservation reserve, both are like buffer zones. The only difference is community reserve will be privately owned by some individuals, some private players will be there. Conservation reserve will be completely owned by the government or more or less owned by the government, but some activities will be allowed for the community for subsistence purpose. Okay. Next is Biosphere Reserve. Biosphere Reserve is an international designation by UNESCO. Okay, so all of this was by abhi tak jo padhe so far, whatever we've read, it was under the Wildlife Protection Act and the state government was notifying, and it was all India ke names, community reserve, conservation reserve, national park, your wildlife sanctuary, all of this. But Biosphere Reserve, this is international designation by UNESCO, comprising terrestrial, marine and coastal ecosystems. A biosphere reserve is divided into a core, buffer and a transition zone in decreasing order of protection. There are 18 biosphere reserves in India, of which 11 are part of the World Network of Biosphere Reserves based on the UNESCO Man and Biosphere Program. I hope this is clear. Core, buffer and transition zone. So it is, first you have a core, then there is a buffer and then there is a transition zone. So this transition zone is transitioning into normal areas. Okay, there is a buffer zone where some activities may be allowed, where there is a core zone where no activity is allowed. Now next is a tiger reserve. It is a national park or a wildlife sanctuary that is considered significant for protecting tigers, can be additionally designated as a tiger reserve. They are governed by Project Tiger, which is administered by the National Tiger Conservation Authority. A tiger reserve consists of a core or a critical tiger habitat which is to be managed as an inviolate area, and a buffer or peripheral area is immediately abutting the core area, which may be accorded a lesser degree of habitat protection. There are currently 50 tiger reserves in the country. Now, I do have a tendency to explain, but then I think I should only be reading. Do let me know in the comments what do you think. Next is a bird sanctuary. Bird sanctuaries are natural facilities that ensure conservation of various species of birds and their natural habitats. There are more than 70 bird sanctuaries in India. Natural conservation zones. Now, natural conservation zones, that is, NGT, which is the National Green Tribunal, constituted a fresh committee to assess whether sub-regional plans for the protection of national conservation zones were consistent with the regional plan prepared by the National Capital Region Planning Board. The importance of the natural conservation zone is that it is earmarked for conservation rather than real estate. Accordingly, construction is allowed only for 0.5%, and that too for regional recreational activities like regional parks and sanctuaries. This strictly precludes construction for commercial, residential, tourism and other real estate purpose. Next, what we have is the protected special agricultural zone. Okay, so protected special agricultural zone. Tamil Nadu announced the Kaveri Delta region would be declared as a protected special agricultural zone to prevent implementation of oil exploration projects in the state's rice bowl. Kaveri Delta zone, it comprises of Tanjavur, Tiruvarur, Nagapattinam, Puddukottai, Kudalur, Ariyalur, Karur and Tiruchirappalli districts. Declaring PSAZ, which is Protected Special Agriculture Zone, ensures that particular region will not be granted permission for any new projects like those related to hydrocarbons. Next up, we have the various tiger reserves and wildlife sanctuaries in news. We begin with Andhra Pradesh, where there is Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve. Attapakka Bird Sanctuary, we will just first name all of them. So in Andhra Pradesh, there is Attapakka Bird Sanctuary and Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve. Okay, so first Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve, it is the largest in area. Okay, so due to the concerted efforts by the Tiger Conservation Foundation, the number of tigers in the Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve in Andhra Pradesh has gone up. It is spread over 3,800 square kilometer, covering Guntur, Prakasam and Kurnool districts in Andhra Pradesh and Nalgonda and Mehboob in Telangana. The Attapakka Bird Sanctuary in Kolleru Lake. Please remember, this is in Kolleru Lake. It has become a safe breeding ground for two migratory bird species, which is the grey pelicans and the painted storks. So, Attapakka Bird Sanctuary, Andhra Pradesh, Kolleru Lake. Kolleru Lake is very, very important. Kolleru, one of the largest freshwater lakes, was accorded a sanctuary status under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. It is a Ramsar site and also identified as an important bird area of India. Next up, in Odisha, we have Nalbana Bird Sanctuary. So, Attapakka was in Kolleru Lake and That is in Andhra Pradesh, okay, and it is a Ramsar site. Next is Nalbana Bird Sanctuary, which is in Odisha, and this lake is which lake? Chilka Lake. Please remember, and it is also a Ramsar designated site. So Nalbana Bird Sanctuary or Nalbana Island is the core area of the Ramsar designated wetlands of Chilka Lake, okay. Next up we have Arunachal Pradesh. Talle or Tali Valley Wildlife Sanctuary. It's also known as Talle or Tali, whatever. There can be an E also. Do not get confused in that. So Talle Valley Wildlife Sanctuary recently Trachiscium aptati Trachiscium aptae, recently Trachiscium aptae, a new snake species which is a non-venomous burrowing snake, was found in the Talle Valley Wildlife Sanctuary near the town of Zero in Arunachal Pradesh. So, near the town of Zero, which sanctuaries are we talking about? Talle Wildlife Sanctuary, Arunachal Pradesh. Nalbana Bird Sanctuary was in Odisha, Lake Chilika. Attapakka Bird Sanctuary, Koleru Lake, Andhra Pradesh. Okay, Attapakka, Koleru. Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve in, yes, you're right, it's Andhra Pradesh. So Talle is in Arunachal. Next is Namdapha. Namdapha, very, very common, very famous. It's the largest protected area in Eastern Himalaya biodiversity hotspot and is located in Arunachal Pradesh. It is also the third largest national park in India in terms of area. It harbors northernmost lowland evergreen forest in the world at 27° north latitude. A very important point, so I will repeat it. It harbors northernmost lowland evergreen rainforest in the world at 27° north latitude. It is home to 4 big cat species, which is your snow leopards, clouded leopards, common leopards, and the tiger. Which wildlife sanctuary are we talking about? Namdapha Wildlife Sanctuary. Where is it located? Arunachal Pradesh. Is it the third largest national park in India? Yes, it is. It is the largest protected area in Eastern Himalaya biodiversity hotspot. So there are hotspots, right? So in the Eastern Himalaya biodiversity hotspot, is this the largest protected area? Yes. And is it the northernmost lowland evergreen rainforest limit in the world? Yes, it is. Okay, if this is southernmost, it will be wrong. They'll just confuse you with very silly options like that. So make sure you pay attention to every word. So next up we have Madhya Pradesh. In Madhya Pradesh, the first one is Bandhavgarh National Park or Reserve Forest. Now this is in Madhya Pradesh. For the first time, Bandhavgarh Reserve Forest in Madhya Pradesh has a colony of elephants and is an unusual occurrence in Bandhavgarh. Bandhavgarh National Park is spread at Vindhya Hills in Umaria district of Madhya Pradesh. Please note down Vindhya Hills in Umaria district of Madhya Pradesh. It was declared a national park in 1968 and then became a tiger reserve in 1993. Next is Nora Dehi Sanctuary. It is situated in Madhya Pradesh and spreads across 2 major river basins, the Ganga and the Narmada. It was in news for successful tiger relocation program. It is also a potential site for cheetah reintroduction in India from Africa. Next is the Van Vihar National Park. It is located in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Here, in the natural habitat, a variety of herbivores and carnivores are managed in line with the modern concept of zoo management. The carnivores include the tiger, the white tiger, leopard, hyena, and sloth bear. These animals are kept in captivity in large enclosures. It also harbors the free-ranging animals like the cheetal, sambar, black buck, blue bull, chow singha, common langur, etc. Park also houses gharial, crocodile, turtle, and a number of snake species. Next is the Satpura Tiger Reserve. The Satpura Tiger Reserve is located in the Satpura landscape south of Narmada in Madhya Pradesh. Satpura Tiger Reserve comprises of 3 protected areas, namely the Satpura National Park, the Bori Sanctuary, and the Pachmadi Wildlife Sanctuary. Denva River is the main water source of the park. Other than tigers, the prime species that are found here are the black buck, leopard, dhole, Indian gaur, Malabar pied hornbill, Malabar whistling thrush, etc. Malabar whistling thrush, Malabar pied hornbill. So these are the other species apart from the tiger. The state bird of Madhya Pradesh, the Asian paradise flycatcher Dhudraj, is also found here. It is the state bird of Madhya Pradesh, Asian paradise flycatcher. So far we have done Satpura Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. It is located below the Narmada. In between the Ganges and the Narmada, Naura Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary. Pay attention here. 2 major river basins, Narmada, Ganges, Naura Dehi. And in the Vindhya Hills, you have Bandhavgarh. Van Vihar National Park, why was it in news? Because of the modern concept of zoo management, it will include all the, the tiger, the white tiger, the leopard, hyena, free-ranging animals, all of this. And then Satpura Tiger Reserve, it includes 3 things. Please remember, Pachmadi Wildlife Sanctuary, Satpura National Park, and your Bori Sanctuary. Bori Sanctuary. So it can be asked, Bori Sanctuary is located in Satpura Wildlife Sanctuary of Satpura Tiger Reserve. Okay. So next up we have Telangana. Now in Telangana there is Papikonda National Park. It's located in East Godavari and West Godavari districts of Andhra Pradesh and Khammam district of Telangana. It's an important bird and biodiversity area. This is Papikonda National Park. So Papikonda National Park, important bird and biodiversity area located in Telangana, in the East and West Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh and Khammam district of Telangana. So it is on the boundary actually, but you will say Telangana if it is asked. Okay. Amrabad Tiger Reserve, it is located in Telangana. The largest, actually it is the second largest. So it is one of the largest tiger reserve in the country, situated in the Nallamala hills of Telangana. Earlier, it was a part of the Nagarjuna Sagar Sri Sailam Tiger Reserve, but post bifurcation, the northern part of the reserve is vested with Telangana and renamed as Amrabad Tiger Reserve. It is dominated by the chain chus, which is a PVTG, which has been coexisting with the tigers and the wild animals for long without disturbing the ecological balance. In 2017, the endangered species of mouse deer was reintroduced here. Very important, mouse deer was reintroduced in Amrabad Tiger Reserve located in Telangana. Next we have Kaval Tiger Reserve. So Kaval Tiger Reserve is also located in Telangana. It is located along Sahyadri mountain ranges in Telangana. Kaval Tiger Reserve, Sahyadri mountain ranges in Telangana. The Godavari and Kadam rivers flow towards the south of the sanctuary. So Godavari and Kadam rivers south of the sanctuary. It is increasingly getting threatened by growing human encroachments, rampant poaching, illegal wood felling and habitat loss. Which tiger reserve? Kaval Tiger Reserve. Kaval Tiger Reserve is where? Telangana. Which mountains? Sahyadri mountains. Which river? Godavari and Kadam river. Okay. Now next is your Mahadai Wildlife Sanctuary, which is located in Goa. So Mahadai Wildlife Sanctuary, Goa. protected area in Goa in the Western Ghats lying in Mahadai River Basin. There is a proposal to make it into a Project Tiger Reserve because of the presence of Royal Bengal tigers. It has been identified as an important bird area by BirdLife International. Next up is Karnataka, and in Karnataka the first tiger reserve is Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Now it is located in Karnataka. It has the second highest tiger population in India. So second highest tiger population in India is in Bandipur Tiger Reserve. It is a part of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So how many biosphere reserves are there in India? 18. Out of which one is the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. अब उसका part में कौन है? Bandipur Tiger Reserve. It shares its boundary with 3 other national parks, namely the Nagarhole National Park, Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, and Mudumalai National Park. So Nagarhole, Wayanad, and Mudumalai. Please find out where all 3 of them are. Nagarhole is in Karnataka. Okay. Wayanad is in Kerala and Mudumalai is in Tamil Nadu. So Bandipur Tiger Reserve is sharing its boundary with all 3 of these national parks. Part of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, second highest tiger population, is located in Karnataka. All these points make it important. Assam. Next is Assam, which Kaziranga everybody knows. Kaziranga National Park, located on the edge of the Eastern Himalayan Biodiversity Hotspot, which is the largest protected area in the Eastern Himalayan Biodiversity Hotspot. We just read it a few minutes ago. It is Namdapha. Okay, do you remember? See, here we read it here. Arunachal Pradesh, Namdapha, third largest in terms of area, harbors northernmost lowland, largest protected area in the Eastern Himalayan Biodiversity Hotspot. And now next one what we are reading is about Kaziranga, located on the eastern edge of the Eastern Himalayan Biodiversity Hotspot, Golaghat and Nagaon district in Assam. The Brahmaputra forms its northern boundary. So you please remember, Brahmaputra forms its northern boundary. So such things are asked, they can give you confusing options, but you must not get confused, and remember the northern boundary formed by by Brahmaputra is of the Kaziranga National Park. Now, along with the one-horned rhinoceros, the park is the breeding ground for elephants, wild water buffalo, and swamp deer. In 1985, it was declared as the World Heritage Site by UNESCO and was declared a tiger reserve in 2006. It has also been identified as an important bird area by BirdLife International. So, important bird area by BirdLife International as well, World Heritage Site by UNESCO also. And of course, it has one-horned rhinoceros, but apart from that, elephants and wild water buffalo and swamp deer as well. And this is also an important bird area by BirdLife International. Okay. Next we have other fauna and flora news. So let's talk about the world's fastest ant. Where is it discovered? The world's fastest ant in the Saharan. It is the Saharan silver ant, which runs at speed of 108 times their body length per second, which is equivalent to 360 meters per hour in humans. Miles होगा ये 360 miles per hour in humans. The Saharan silver ant is found in the sand dunes in the northern Sahara. The ants scavenge the corpses of other creatures during the hottest part of the day. To survive the heat, the ants have silvery hair that reflect the sun's rays. So just remember, it is the fastest ant, or fastest species rather. Now, Tamil yeoman, or it is also known as Sirocroa thais. Obviously, Tamil yeoman, so it must be found in Tamil. What is it? It's a type of butterfly. Now, it is endemic to the Western Ghats. It has been declared as the state butterfly of Tamil Nadu. So, already once some question was asked on the state butterfly, so this becomes important. So, I think it's a very clear thing. Tamil, so you will be able to know it's Tamil Nadu, but yeoman. Now, you might think what is this? It can be a ant, it can be a butterfly, it can be a turtle, it can be a tortoise. So all such options may be given to confuse you. It can be a snake, right? But then you must remember who's yeoman. It's a butterfly. Okay, butterfly is name yeoman. It has been found in Western Ghats. It's been declared the state butterfly of Tamil Nadu. It's actually endemic to Western Ghats. It's also known as Tamil Maravan, which means warrior. Now, Maharashtra was the first state to declare blue mormon as its state butterfly, followed by Uttarakhand that declared the common peacock, Karnataka the southern bird wings, and Kerala the Malabar banded peacock, and now Tamil Nadu. So what may be asked is that recently in news, common peacock, southern birdwing, Malabar banded peacock and Tamil yeoman are types of. So they can say Bengal florican can be an option, peacock can be an option. Okay, then butterfly will be obviously one of the options, and ant can be an option, or a moth can be an option. So you must remember that all these are types of butterfly. What all? Let me repeat. Types of butterfly: Tamil yeoman, also known as Sirocroa thais, or Tamil yeoman. So yeoman and thais, whatever name is, it is a Tamil Nadu ka butterfly. Then blue mormon, again a type of butterfly. Common peacock, it's not a peacock, it's a butterfly. Southern bird wings, not a winged bird, not a bird. Southern bird wings is also a butterfly. And Malabar banded peacock, don't know why they want to name it a peacock, but it is a butterfly. Please remember this. Okay. Purple frog. And the purple frog, which is also known as Nasica batrachus sahayadrensis, could also be designated as Kerala state amphibian. It's endemic to the Western Ghats. It can be called as a living fossil, as its evolutionary roots suggest it could have shared space with dinosaurs almost 70 million years ago. It is also known as the Marvelli frog, pig-nosed frog, and spends most of its time under the soil, emerging for a few days each year at the start of the monsoons to breed. Unlike other frogs, it has a peculiar set of limbs and a pointy nose to survive underground. So it stays underground, known as a living fossil, also known as pig-nosed. So it has a pointed nose, known as a pig-nosed frog or Marvelli frog, and it has peculiar set of limbs and a pointy nose. The conservation status in IUCN is endangered. It is also known as EDGE, which is evolutionarily distinct and globally endangered list. It ranks third in the list of threatened amphibians. What is EDGE now? These evolutionarily distinct and globally endangered. These are the species. They are basically animal species, okay? Only animal species which have a high EDGE score, a metric combining the endangered conservation status with distinctiveness of taxon. The Zoological Society of London launched a global conservation initiative, the Edge of Existence program, in 2007. So they might say that this was started by the Zoological Survey of India. But no, that's wrong. It was started by the Zoological Society of London, which launched the Global Conservation Initiative. The other major species in the list are Bengal florican, Ganges river dolphin, hawksbill turtle, and the gharial.